Hello everyone, my name is Manny, and my Graduate with Honors project is a React website for parents that want to find, borrow, purchase, or even trade books for their children to read, specifically underserved communities. So by leveraging technology and the collective resources of parents, my website, ReadMe Books for All, provides a convenient and affordable way for parents to obtain books and other resources. So let's talk about some of the technology I used. For the front end, I use a React framework. I used a mixture of Bootstrap and React Strap, some CSS, and libraries like Formic for form validation, and React Redux for managing the state of the app. For the backend, I use various technologies like JSON Server, Docker, and even ExpressJS to make some of my API calls. Okay, let's do a small demo of the website. Here, I have my home page where I have various components holding images, verbiage, the header, the footer, and even a nav bar. For the About page, I have the same thing, and I didn't have to rewrite code because I used the components that I use on the home page on the About Me page as well, saving me a lot of time. Here I have a newsletter sign up, where when I click it, a modal comes up and you can enter your information. And I'm using Formic for the form validation, so if you don't enter the right thing, you get a message telling you what you need to do. In this case, I'm just putting errors on purpose so you can see the Formic. But let's enter something formal here. test@gmail.com. My full name is test. My zip code is 0. Let's see, all zeros. So when I sign up, it grabs that user's name, says thank you, and you press close and you're off. And what it does, it actually throws it over to the JSON server to collect that data. So if you want to grab the username and the email and send out the newsletter later, you can do that. And I also have past newsletters where I just have some verbiage and a YouTube video. Again, components that I don't really have to rewrite. I can just reuse from the home page. The contact, same thing as the newsletter, where I have a form and I'm using Formic for the form validation. And again, this actually enters the contact information into the JSON server where the database is held to collect the information for later use. So let's go back to the home page. We can actually, let's sign on. Let's do username 123, password 123. And there you go. So I have a mock-up profile. This is actually getting data from the back end. I use the card just to hold some information like my username, what school, zip code, number of students, a wish list of books that I would like to have, and also a library of books I do have that I'm willing to share with other parents or either sell them or even let them borrow them. And then the next feature is our search. So let's say we want to search Harry Potter, enter it there. And when I search Harry Potter, it shoots it over to the Google API and it returns information. And that information is returned in the form of cards, as you can see here. And each card you can have, read more to see more of a summary of each book. And if you wanted to include it into your personal library for, let's say, kind of a wish list, you click here and it records into the library that you had in your user profile. So let's search something else. Let's see React. There we go. Again, the same thing, no issues. So let's go back to our home page. As you can see here, the sign on and the register button are gone. So let's go to our profile and we're back to our profile. Simple as that. And I'm using React Redux for this to maintain the information that was entered when I signed on. And I can easily log out as well. And there you go. The register and the sign on is back on. So let's talk about the biggest issue I had while working on the projects, which was the CORS security feature, which stands for Cross-Origin Resource Sharing. This prevents web pages from making API calls to other web pages outside of the domain that it came from. In my case, the local host. So in order to go around that and actually solve the problem of making calls to the Google API, I use an Express server in the form of a reverse proxy and put that inside of a Docker container. So instead of trying to make a call from my browser or from my local host over to the Google, I used that server, and that server sent out the call over to the Google API, and it came back. And when it came back to the server, I attached the correct headers in order for my web browser to read that data correctly and display it inside of the card that you saw earlier. I didn't have issues with the JSON server because that was already on my local host, but the Google API wasn't, so I needed a reverse proxy in order to get the data that I needed. And that's how I solved that issue. All right, so let's get over to look at some of the code. As for the code, it's split into three main sections. My pages, as you can see here, my home page, the newsletter, and the profile page. The features for the feedback form, the newsletter, the search feature, and the use feature as well. And then the components that make up a lot of the pages, like the headers, the footers, the verbiage, the images, the search bar, and even the errors or the loading screens. Using React made this project that much easier than it was when I used the Bootstrap, where I kind of had to repeat a lot of the code in order to make a lot of the components that you saw on the web page. And using React really made my website actually functional versus just being visuals. If you want to know more about the website, please check out my GitHub, and you can actually see all the code there, or my YouTube channel, namespace Manny, to see a 20-minute video where I go in depth into all of the code and all of the features of my project. Thank you.